Good day, this is Terry Difazio, and you're watching Dial It Up. Today, my guest is Mary Butler. Mary Butler was here once before with Sharon Campbell. Mary is a volunteer and board member for the Vermont chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Terry.
Also, she is a co-founder of the Out of the Darkness Walk here in Newport. First of all, this was a question that I had from the last show that I never got to ask you. Well, what hospital did you work for?
I lived in Spokane, Washington.
Oh, okay.
And for 20 years, I worked for Sacred Heart Medical Center.
Oh, okay.
As a vice president.
Spokane, right near Seattle, right?
It's about 300 miles away.
Oh, is that right?
It's near Idaho.
Oh, okay.
And it's a little bit south of Canada.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
70 miles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, what is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and is it a local, state, national organization? Exactly, explain it to us.
Terry, it's a national organization,
okay.
And its mission is to save lives and give hope.
Okay.
And we have chapters in every state now. All 50 states have a chapter.
Okay.
And yearly we have over 300 walks. I imagine this year it'll be more like 375 walks in different cities. Some states have several walks. As we do in Vermont, we have the Burlington Walk, the Newport Walk, and one in Springfield.
Wow.
Yeah.
I used to live there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, until 1998.
Uh-huh.
So, in what order are they? Or do they go off first?
The Newport Walk is first on September 10th this year. The Burlington Walk is on a Sunday in October 2nd, I believe.
Okay.
And the Springfield Walk is somewhere in between them, whether it's, I didn't put that down, but it's somewhere in between September 10th and October 2nd.
Okay, here in Newport, where does the walk originate from?
Gardner Park.
Okay, I knew that, but I want you to tell everybody. Now, in Springfield, where is it? Because that's where I used to live.
That's, I don't know.
You don't know that
but,
one yet?
I'll tell you one way to find out.
Okay.
Outofthedarknesswalks.com.
Okay.
And you can find all the information. It says search for an event and go to the state, Vermont, and all 3 of our walks will come up. You can see who to contact, where it's going to be held, the date, time, and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will almost bet in Springfield it'll be somewhere near Riverside Junior High School, because that's a huge park with all sorts of ball fields and athletic stuff down there, and that's relatively near downtown.
Okay.
So
you're probably right.
That's where I bet that they will hold it, but nothing is for sure in Springfield.
Right.
Not since all the machine shops
Nothing's
died.
for sure anywhere.
Right. How long have you been a part of this program and the walks and all that?
Well, in 2011, my husband lost his son to suicide.
Okay.
And we received a gift from a friend of ours to donate to the cause. We couldn't find an organization that was working on suicide prevention until one day we were in Northampton and I saw a wonderful sign. It said,
Northampton, Mass.
Out of the Darkness Walk, and who to contact and everything. So I did, and I found that we have a walk in Burlington. And that's been going on since the early 2000s. And so I said to a friend of mine who had also lost her son to suicide after we lost ours, I said, we need to go to the Burlington Walk. She said, no, we need to have the walk here. This was Lily in Bathalon.
Okay.
We need to have the walk here. We don't need to go to Burlington. She said, and I can't lead, so you lead. I'm a good follower, she said. So we started.
Okay.
And then we gradually got the Chaput family involved because they lost their son. And then Chris and Betty Barrett got involved. And
yep, I remember when Chris and Betty were involved, yes.
Uh-huh. Well, they've kind of retired from it now, but we call them our ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
So we still have the same team other than them.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got going. Our first walk, I'll tell you just a little bit about it, September of 2011. And we had a goal of raising $5,000.
Okay.
And we thought maybe we'd have 60 to 80 walkers. Well, we had about 300 walkers, and we raised over $30,000.
That's very good.
So
now, where does this money end up going?
The nice thing about this walk is 50% of it stays at National for their programs, education, outreach, prevention, and research.
Okay.
And they manufacture materials for us at a very little expense as a result of the research, because, you know, research really finds out what needs to happen. So they use that for that. We keep the other 50% in Vermont, and we can use it for programs, educational programs, or like, for instance, when we had a showing of a bipolar video just a couple years ago. And we also do a lot with the schools. We have exhibits. Like this year, we're going to be at the Derby Line Day, the J Day, Orleans County Fair, and then we have International Survivor of Suicide Day on November 19th. So we set up for those days. We give away materials, and it's just very worthwhile. We can do all kinds of creative things with the approval of the board, with the money we raise.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've brought up something that always piqued my interest and curiosity, and that is depression. Is how big of a factor is depression, substance abuse, mental health issues, things like that? How much of that is a factor? And is any one or the other more involved, or is it all pretty much mixed in here together?
I would say it's pretty much mixed in together. And the problem, which you know is so frequently a part of this, is people who feel depressed don't want to get help.
Right.
Mental health has such a stigma. It has a stigma as great as suicide. And we really want to help overcome that. That's part of our work. If people would get help when they have a chronic type of depression, we could save so many people. If people could get help in recovery from substance abuse, we could save so many people. Yeah,
and you and I could talk about this for a very long time, because in my estimation, not enough has been done.
No.
Substance abuse isn't the cause of depression, and depression isn't the cause of substance abuse, but they both seem to get along pretty well, don't they?
They really do.
They seem to get wrapped up together, and then you've got, something even worse.
Yeah, Terry, I lost my brother in 2005 to suicide. He was a brilliant guy, graduated from Notre Dame. Just, you'd love to debate him or interview him. A great guy. He was an alcoholic, and when we got the notice that he had taken his life, my sisters and I were together, and we found out that he had been in rehab 6 times that year.
Oh boy! So he did have a chance at it.
He had a chance at it. He tried it, but every time he would come out, he'd say, "Mary, I have all the answers now. I know exactly what I need to do. I know it." And then he'd get hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, and his resolutions would go out the window.
Yeah, also notice cognitive or behavioral interventions that he had to use, and they all went out the door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think what we thought about so much after that is the embarrassment that people who have been in recovery so often have, they feel so ashamed that they haven't been able to grab the cure and get that monkey off their back.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. Also, there's another smaller part of it too, and that is people have to realize that because I went into rehab, I'm not cured.
Right.
I'm still an addict. I still have to work at this.
I'm in active recovery for the rest of my life.
And if you don't stay that way,
Right.
then you fall right back into the trap.
Right.
Because that's what addiction is. It's a trap.
It is, right.
And we could talk about that for hours
Yeah,
too, because that's another one of these subjects that is part brain chemistry. It's also cognitive and behavioral lifestyles.
Right.
You know, you can't say, well, I've stopped using drugs, I've stopped drinking, I'm cured. That's not quite how it works, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not at all. And the thing I worry about, Terry, I'm part of HealthWorks One,
Okay.
Which is a wonderful organization, and our mission is to create a healthy environment here in Newport and our Orleans and Caledonia County.
Mm-hmm.
And we're terribly concerned about underage drinking.
Yeah, I think I would be too.
And so that is one of our main goals, to work on how do we stop that. Is it through having less liquor stores? Is it through having adults get stronger in saying, no, I'm not going to get that for you? And then there's so much repetitive behavior. Kids see their parents drinking, and they start, and so it's all wrapped up into one big piece of opportunity.
Yeah. Well, it's a matter. It's also, as you know, Mary, it's a matter of what do you normalize?
Right.
If getting drunk every night is normal in your family, then that's what
you're going to do.
Then that's what you're going to learn.
Right.
Unless, of course, something inside you says, this really isn't right.
Right.
Which sometimes does happen. You might find a person like that.
Right.
But a lot of it has to do with modeled social behavior. Yep. And if you have role models who are exhibiting a certain behavior, that's probably what you're going to model. That's what you're going to see.
Right.
Yeah.
Learned behavior.
Exactly.
It's exactly what I see at home, and that's what I'm going to do when I grow up.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll start early.
Yeah. That happens too for another group of reasons.
Yeah.
Tell me, Mary, how many people are involved here in Orleans County in this project?
Well, we have a walk committee with about 10 people, and we have, if you look at our past walks, we've had approximately between 250 and 350 people each year. And so I bet we've reached between 1,500 and 2,000 people. This is our 5th year.
Oh, okay. That was my next question, by the way.
Okay. This is our 5th year. And we already have 3 sponsors who've made significant donations. We have North Country Hospital, Community National Bank, and we have the Rotary Club, which just made a nice donation. We have other sponsors that are in-kind sponsors. Richard D. Grief, for instance, auctions at our annual walk, which is the night before, our annual dinner, which is the night before our walk. And DJ Gordy Brown plays music at our walk. And we have several others in the in-kind donation. So they get their name on our website. They get their name on our T-shirts, and people who raise $150 towards the AFSP get a free T-shirt at the walk.
Oh, okay.
And they have all our sponsors on their back.
Okay. So this thing with the Rotary, I take it possibly even NEK-TV, that's something new that's been added on, or has that been going on also?
The Rotary did donate 2 years ago, but this is the first time they've been a sponsor.
Okay.
And I'm sure NEK-TV is going to be a sponsor. We haven't heard from them yet, but Michelle Tarek is on our committee, and so we know she's going to let us know anytime.
I know this substance abuse piece, especially about the problem with the heroin in this area. NEK-TV was supposed to be doing something about that or something on that. I'm not sure what they were going to do. I think the Rotary was going to be on with that too. And I even threw my hat into that and told them that I would like to do something, but I haven't heard back yet.
Wonderful.
I'm hoping that happens, because what people have to understand is and I know you understand this, the substance abuse issue is a real tight tie-in with suicides.
Yes.
You know, because when everything looks absolutely hopeless, what may look like, say, an overdose, it might have been inadvertent, and it might have turned out to be a suicide that just, you know.
Right, and you don't ever really know, do you?
That happened to a friend of mine. I know darn well he just overdosed because he just didn't care anymore.
Right. I understand that sometimes when people go off of heroin and they come back on, the substance and the dosage is different, and they use the wrong dose.
Or, for example, I'll give you an example, and you're absolutely right. What you just said was absolutely right. You'll get a heroin addict, or any drug addict, doesn't matter. They'll get clean and sober for a while. Their tolerance will go down, and they'll say, geez, you know, a couple of years ago, I could do so many bags of heroin, I could do that again, and their tolerance is down, and that's it. They flatline.
Exactly.
Because they think, hey, I used to be able to do that, I'll do that again, and that's not how it works, because your tolerance goes down.
Yeah.
So
exactly. I think the other thing that happens often for young men is when the person who they think is the love of their life leaves them. I think that's been a factor, but it's usually combined with alcohol.
Yeah.
And so that's another very serious thing. And then suicides among the elderly, it's more isolation. It's not feeling like they're needed. There's no one coming to see them. Everything's a struggle.
Oh, yeah.
And so that those suicides are prevalent.
What services do you provide for survivors who have lost someone due to suicide? What sort of supports, you know, and what sort of things do you provide? Well,
we have a number of brochures. We reach out to them when we can, when we know, you know, and we try to contact them, especially if we know of somebody who knows them.
Right.
Also, on the third Thursday of every month, we have a support group. The support group meets at Faith Lighthouse Church.
Okay, yep.
And by the way, Faith Lighthouse is another in-kind sponsor because they give us space throughout the year for all of our meetings and everything. And so we meet there.
Those that don't know exactly where is that?
It's on Route 105 and Alderbrook.
Okay.
So it's on your way, say, from Newport to North Troy or Newport Center or Troy. And so we start at 5:30 at that church, and we go on till people feel like they are ready to leave, usually no more than 2 hours.
Okay.
Yep.
What sort of education related to suicide is available for people, either on the web or brochures or that you guys provide?
You know, there's a lot on the web. The AFSP website is replete with information about suicide.
Is that what it's called, the AFSP?
AFSP.com. You can get the research studies, you can get the materials.
I think that's great.
It's fabulous, and it's no charge. And they always post the number for getting help, the helpline.
Oh, so there's like a suicide hotline or something like that? Okay.
Right.
That sounds good.
There is. And I don't know if you know this, but in Vermont we have another wonderful organization that's called the Vermont Suicide Prevention Coalition. And the center is located in Brattleboro. Okay. But the coalition has representatives from throughout the state. As a matter of fact, tomorrow there is a symposium at the Davis Center at the University of Vermont, Joint Impact in Prevention, Treatment, and Recovery. And I'll be there all day tomorrow. And the AFSP will have a display there with our information. And it should be quite a great day. AFSP is joining with the Vermont SPC to support the cost of some of the speakers.
Okay.
So
probably by the time this airs, that will have already gone through.
That's right. Yes,
but you can always go to the website and you can always keep checking. Correct.
Exactly.
What other organizations do you work with? You and your organization work with?
We work with whoever we can. We love to get the National Guard involved. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to contact the National Guard now to set up a booth at our at our walk.
Oh, okay.
We have had the Halo Foundation at our walk, and this year we're going to have another organization, Let's Grow Kids.
Okay. I think I've heard of that one.
They're going to be represented. They're going to have a booth, and we're looking for people who would like to share their information and be part of our walk. Can I talk a little bit about our walk?
By all means.
So on September 10th at Gardner Park, we'll all be there by 5:30 in the morning. But we
good. That's good.
We'll start registration at 8:30, and we have breakfast ready for people. They can help themselves to bagels and coffee and whatever else we have. We have quite a bit of stuff. And when they come to register, if they haven't registered already online, they'll pick up their beads. And we have different colored beads. Like here's the purple, and purple is for loss of a relative. White is loss of a child. Mm-hmm. Red, loss of a spouse or partner. All of these different colors have a loss connected with them. And what you'll see, which is so sad, but shows the prevalence of suicide, is you'll see people with like 6 to 8 color beads on them because they've had that much loss. Wow. So our walk is really to connect people who have experienced the loss, because grieving goes on forever, and connecting with people who've had the same loss makes a huge difference. It's for people who are contemplating suicide, people who are just thinking that they want to get involved in preventing suicide. Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful networking, and it's fun too. We have a lot of raffle items. We have great food after the walk. There's a short and a long walk. As a matter of fact, and we have really good music by DJ Gordy Brown. Okay. And so all those things, and it's a farmers market day too. So some of the farmers market people actually come, and they benefit by having so many people visit their booth.
Compared to other states, where does Vermont rank in suicide rate?
Oh my God, Vermont is like second. It's huge.
Really?
It's very much towards the top. I want to just give you those statistics.
Okay, I was just curious because when I moved up here to Vermont from Brooklyn, New York in 1956, the rate here in Vermont was higher than New York City.
Yes, it's.
And they figured it was because it was such a rural state and people were so isolated. I don't know why that would be now, because the internet has changed everything.
Our economy.
Economy?
Our economy.
Okay.
So nationally, there are 42,773 or so suicides. This is from 2015.
Okay. So that's relatively
So that is, the rate
recent.
per 100,000 is 12.93 nationally.
Right.
In Vermont, we had 124 suicides last year.
Wow.
And the rate per 100,000 for us is 18.64.
So that's well above the national average.
I'm sorry, state rank is 11,
11?
not 2. Okay, yeah.
Well, that's still quite high, though.
Can I read you just a little
Certainly,
bit more?
By all means. I think that people need to know this and understand this.
The first leading cause of death for ages 10 to 14 is suicide.
Okay.
The second leading cause of death for ages 15 to 34. And the third for ages 35 to 44. Okay. Now, suicide cost Vermont a total of $117.583 million of a combined lifetime medical and work loss in 2010, or an average of 1,109,277 per suicide death. Yeah. I can leave this with you, and you could scan it in if you wish for the interview.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And
but it's the 8th leading cause of death in Vermont overall.
Is suicide?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And on average, one person dies every 3 days.
Okay.
Now, an interesting fact about that is women attempt suicide 4 times more often than men, but they are not successful because women don't use a gun.
Usually firearms, right?
And 80% of the suicides among males are from guns.
Yeah, I've read that before, that a guy will pick up a weapon
Right.
and commit suicide,
Right.
whereas a woman generally won't.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it never happens.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I said, my friend who died, oh gosh, it had to be about 8 years ago. I believe he did his with pills.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
believe he did his with opiates. He
Yeah.
just took him until he died.
Well,
he'd had a child die,
Oh.
and it was an accident. The child shot himself. I think the child was 8, and the child accidentally shot himself with a handgun. And anyways, he never really recovered from it. So,
Yeah.
but like you said, men will generally use firearms, whereas
Right.
women won't.
Right.
But in his particular case, he didn't. He just kept taking the pills until it was
Right.
gone.
So if you know somebody who's thinking of suicide, sit with them, be with them, remove the guns and the medications and the alcohol from their home.
Yep.
Get them help.
Yep.
We call it QPR, is like CPR. Question them, are you seriously thinking of suicide?
Okay.
You're not going to prompt anything that isn't already there. And if they say yes, then you stay with them.
Right.
And then P is persuade them that that they're valuable to life, to society, to you. And there's so many people care about them. And then get them help, resources. QPR.
Are you the contact person for the walk?
Yes.
You are?
I am.
Okay. And what is your contact information?
My contact information is Butler M.
Okay.
at Cisna, SISNA.com.
Okay.
And my phone number is 802
Yep.
744 6284.
We're going to put this up on the screen,
All right.
so that way people can contact you.
That's fine.
We're just about out of time. And are there any final words that you want to tell us before we have to sign off?
The only thing I'd like to say is thank you for interviewing me. And if we can all work together to remove the stigma of mental health and the stigma of suicide, we've got to talk about it, and we've got to be able to be comfortable getting mental help if we need it. And
Right.
we know the signs. You know, we're depressed. We don't want to get up. We don't really feel like doing anything. We need to get help.
Yes. One of the things that I would just like to add my 2 cents worth in, you see on television, you see tons of advertisements for pills,
Yes.
and they are helpful.
Yes.
But
In the right situation.
you can't just say, give me a pill, make me feel better.
No.
You've got to do some footwork yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it should be stressed that cognitive behavioral therapy, along with medication, psychiatrists, psychologists,
Yes.
therapists like that,
Yeah.
that's probably going to be your best outcome is going to come from that.
Yes.
As opposed to just saying, give me a pill and send me on my way.
One of my wise mentors said, go through the motions and the emotions will follow.
Yep.
And I
Fake it till you make it.
Yes,
Same
exactly.
thing.
Right.
I used to be in a prison program that did the same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
I was one of the counselors at
Oh,
a
you
prison
were?
program.
That's great.
Yeah. So I want to thank you very much. We are out of time. It was great to have you on here, and I know I will have you back on again, possibly after the walk.
Wonderful.
How
I'd
would
love
how
that,
would
Terry.
be?
That'd be perfect.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. This is Terry Difazio for Dial It Up. We hope you all have a good day. Catch you later.